All right, welcome to the Honcast.com presentation. I'm Breaky CPK, going to be your shoutcasting host, and joining me is Toby Wankanobi, community shoutcaster, and this is the DYA live from Singapore. We are live here, $14,000 on the line just for this finals. It's $20,000 overall. Already been paid out to the 3rd through 8th place finishers, but this is the grand finale. EG currently up 1-0. Game 2 here in this best of 3 series. It was a great game 1. I would not be surprised to see game 3.
I would definitely not be. It is going to be absolutely insane if we go to 3.
Yes.
We were talking before, like you even see the players right now. We can see them from just down here. You know, all the ice guys getting themselves together. It's just like, what the hell are we going to do? They always go by the seat of their pants. What are we going to try and do? It's the same with the EG guys. I was talking to them before. There was nothing really planned. Gladiator wasn't really planned at all for the last game. It was just like who else are we going to use? Gladiator's good. Let's go. All right, fair enough. And just play with that kind of stuff. And that's what they did. And they went with it. And this is why we're seeing these really unusual picks, unusual bans as well. Defiler, we're going to see if he actually gets banned off or picked up in this one. He's just curious. One of those heroes that really ripped up in the last game. But what's going to happen now? Nobody really knows. There is no way to really predict this match. We saw it in the last game. So many group fights. You thought it would go one way. The initiation would have been great coming in. And all of a sudden everything's just going ass over tit. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
What the hell just happened indeed. But yeah, so going to be interesting to see it. Oh, there we go. Defiler just banned right there by Ice. So they did not want to have to deal with the hero can. And then it finishes off with Pharaoh. The 4 previous bans, Dr. Repulsor, Electrician, Magnus, and Bombardier. So those are, I believe those are 4 of the same bands that indeed we did see last game. In fact, 5 of the 6 of them have been the same bands. That obviously the Defiler, the other different band right here. So, but for obvious reasons, Chew on Defiler.
Pharaoh taking out as well.
Dominated that game. Yeah, Pharaoh was the last band right there. Not really a big surprise. Also, okay, yeah, he wasn't last game. I do apologize. But banned right there. Devour is left open now. Devour is a famous, popular hero, especially in the US scene. These two teams going at it. Both Ice and EG enjoy to play him. So I would not be surprised to see Devour as a pickup here for one of these two teams.
That is. He's a great hero. We've seen him so many times, especially when he's been the solo mid, to actually be that initiator too. Of course, you do have other people that can just jump themselves right on top. We've seen it so many times. Pebbles did not make the ban pool this time. This is a really cool thing. Like you had the last match, and this is what we're talking about earlier before. You actually have matches. The first match, it dictates your bans in the second. But because you take out other heroes, so you actually see heroes like Defiler and Pharaoh, they get added to the ban pool. It opens up people like Pebbles. And Pebbles with a burst damage hit so many times. You couple it with Behemoth. Behemoth didn't get taken out this one as well, so he's into the mix. Look for him to come out, and when you couple those two together, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of also precision lock-ins for the ganks.
Oh, it really is. The Fissure and the Wall of Mummies are 2 very powerful abilities that really block those players off in those team fights. And we saw last game, in fact, the Mummy Wall from Pharaoh really caused a lot of issues. And as you mentioned, Behemoth is very similar to that. Pebbles not banned, so he was the one other banned last time as well. I do apologize, but yeah, he was one of the other banned last time as well, you mentioned. So going to be interesting. In fact, we do see, how about that? Behemoth and Pebbles are the pickups right there for EG.
The guys are listening to
Almost listening to us. Yeah, Toby's new strat color over here, apparently. No, but so EG going with Behemoth and Pebbles as their first 2 picks. Obviously, we just pretty much talked about them, so what more is there to say other than Chew, Pebbles, awesome combination.
The funny thing was, in the first match that EG played, when they actually went up against
Online Kingdom
in the first match, we saw it so many times with these 2 exact heroes where we actually saw Pebbles toss Behemoth in. He didn't have to move himself into position. The Fissure comes in.
Who needs a portal key when you have a movable portal key with you? You know, right?
It's like this big arm. He's like he should be recruited for any sort of baseball. It's awesome to actually pump him out for that one. But you've got massive burst damage from both of them, because you also have the ulti that can come out from Behemoth. He gets tossed in. It will do damage to wherever he lands, but if it doesn't kill the creeps, they still do that extra damage from his ulti on top of it. Who else do they couple it with? They've got a basically a good early mid-game ganker. They've got a good support hero. They still leave themselves open. Like, you've got Thunderbringer coming in here for Ice. They've now picked up Chipper as well. Chipper, we saw him actually, I think we saw Ice actually use him as a solo in the middle lane.
I believe so,
a couple of matches ago. And he is currently in the hands of Purify, and maybe he can do something on that one. I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with the burst damage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, you know, with that said, the Legion team, their first two pickups, very heavy intellect style burst hero. So both teams, they have a lot of burst damage coming out already, making it be a very, very active and entertaining game, of course. This third pick now 4 seconds left, so obviously you need to make it quick. Ooh, Sand Raid. So not burst damage, but a lot of damage over time.
Late game carry.
Late game carry, exactly. We've seen him a couple of times throughout the tournament. In fact, ICE did use him in game 2 against XTU, which they really had a good lead with, and they ran with it. So very, very powerful hero. We've seen him several times, as I mentioned. Awesome hard carry. We tend to see him in a tri-lane especially.
If we get what they're predicting at the moment, this is going to be an amazing game.
It is. It really is. I mean, like we got the first two pickups on either side, just very entertaining, very burst-style heroes. Obviously, Sand Raid doesn't fit that, but he is a very entertaining late game hero, and that ultimate causes a lot of issues.
Yeah, that it does at the moment. Like you can see him tossing up there. It doesn't really give anything away because obviously you can right-click on anyone's portrait right now. There's nothing that ICE can do that's going to wait and see what they actually pick up. But if you see Bubbles and Witch Slayer come into this lineup, holy heck.
Yeah.
That's just like so much heck. And they still leave themselves open for their fifth and final pick after seeing the entire lineup.
There we
They go straight for it. Bubbles and Witch Slayer.
Pebbles combination.
Yes.
Pebbles.
The Pebbles.
That's what I call them. Pebbles and Bubbles.
I love it.
I hate them being on the same team.
Yeah, exactly.
So for that reason, it's really annoying.
But you look at them, and you've got what? Silence.
Yeah.
Stun from the Bubbles ulti if they go outside the area. He can chase people down as well. Witch Slayer has a stun and a hex as well as massive burst damage. Pebbles has basically a disable through damage through the toss. You can throw the Sacred Mites down as well. That's going to stun anyone in the area. Behemoth can come in with a massive AoE damage as well as his fissure to do any like massive range stuns as well as the wall off. They still have their carry on top of this. It's a great ganking side.
The thing is about that, I was actually going to talk about that. You said that you're more than likely maybe pick up a carry as their fifth. Honestly, EG has been known to run a lineup like this where they pretty much rely on Pebbles to play their carry, honestly, and they just go for a very aggressive early game strategy. I would not be surprised to see if we see them continue a strategy like that here with the pickup. But how about those last couple of pickups there for the Legion team? Hammerstorm, our first time, and Vindicator. Both of those heroes are first time we've seen this in this event today. Powerful heroes, but Vindicator, we don't see him a lot, but he is very useful for, you know, heroes that rely a lot on combination. Behemoth, Bubbles, Witch Slayer, and Pebbles all relied a lot on combination. So, you know, in a sense, when you really think about it, it makes a very, very good, it is a very good pickup. It will cause a lot of issues as long as he's nearby, but he is really squishy. So, but now, of course, waiting on the last pick from EG. Going to be interesting to see, as I said, whether or not they go for that aggressive, you know, very aggressive lineup, or if they have that hard carry that they can rely on in the later game. Because right now they're going up against the Sand Wraith. You know, there really aren't many carries out there that can compete later game, honestly.
That is very true. At the moment, they're throwing Flip Beastwood into the portrait as a temporary thing. He is a good carry. He can be aggressive as well. Obviously, you do have that ability to basically just throw down the explosive flare, slowing everyone down the area.
There we go.
And he does that massive damage, and we will actually see him come out too. So they want to get the DPS out of them. A very, very, very aggressive lineup.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they actually lay this. More than likely, Flint Beastwood, would you go maybe solo top even?
No.
Maybe solo mid?
Honestly, we're probably going to see a tri... Well, okay. Usually we would see a tri-lane Flint Beastwood, but this is EG we're talking about, and just like I said before, they tend to run strategies a little bit different. We have seen a Pebbles tri-lane with them. They're the only team to do that, so very likely that is at least thinking, I'm sure, from ICE. They're very aware of that as well. Pebbles tri-lane, they have ran it, a very fast portal key. Of course, Pebbles relied on that. Obviously, he gets the nerf in level, so that's kind of the balance there, but we'll see how they decide to go with. But the countdown has started. We're now loading into the game. Game 2 coming up here. ICE versus EG. $14,000 on the line, $10,000 for the winner, $4,000 for second place, 1-0 series lead currently for EG. Game 2 here. Will we see a Game 3 with ICE winning, or will EG take it into right away? Good old-fashioned right here. A pause to start the game, so we're going to have to wait a little bit, obviously, to see the lanes, how they set it up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hellborn team, a little bit more set perhaps, but it's, again, still could kind of switch it up. But with that said, the Legion team now, how are they going to lane? Because they got it. It's very interesting. They have that tri-lane potential, but it's not too often we see double melee in a tri-lane, but we'll probably see Hammerstorm, Sand Wraith, Vindicator, and then a Shipper and Thunderbringer solos. They could run a 2-2-1 style as well with this lineup, very likely, so they can adjust if they want to.
I'm wondering if you use Hammerstorm as a roamer, because at the moment, like, they've got good AoE stun that actually comes out from him. He can move himself between the lanes. Vindicator, we've seen him so far in the tournament. I don't think we've seen a single time where he's been on the Legion side when he hasn't gone. I think he'll go down towards the bottom lane. It was used yesterday a fair amount, but Vindicator down there in the bottom lane, It's a good way to go, especially if he does get support there from the try lane. It allows him to do the pulls. Sandwraith can actually focus on that as well. They still actually have everything going in there. And Breaky's echo is hot. I love it. Oh, the snap comes in from Bubbles. That's right, he shall serve straight into that snap. I didn't just do that. All right, but you are right. It's very interesting to see. Hopefully they do actually go off this pause so we can see where the people will walk out. Obviously, we're not going to see a level 1 Kongor this time around.
Yeah.
For the main reason, that
exactly.
never works.
As I said right away, as soon as it happened, that's a one-time thing. In a series, let alone a tournament, honestly. If one team runs that throughout a tournament, you know that the other team will they'll keep that in mind. They'll be like, well, let's be aware of that. So, obviously, that's only going to happen once. I mean,
it was funny. I was talking to Magic just before, and he said, actually, Online Kingdom used it against MSI once, and they waited another 3 months before they actually used it again.
That's why it's so rare, because it's easy to counter, obviously, if you know if you're even thinking about it. If you're just even thinking about it, you can definitely counter it, but it doesn't happen very often for that reason because, as we saw there, so it was an epic play. And again, we talk about last game, I think there's a total of 6 Kongor kills, all in favor of Ice, but they still managed to, come out on the losing end, despite a very, very good game, of course. But we are still waiting for a resume to happen here, as both teams are still getting things figured out. But once we get that started, of course, we're going to see the lanes and how they set up. Again, both teams really curious in how they go to lane, but there are many, many options, really, on both sides. So
definitely are. We should probably run out for everyone out there who actually are big fans of these guys. We'll run very quickly about actually who's playing who. That's one thing we actually haven't done. Sure. Ramzo, we're playing as our Sandwraith. We're going through the Legion side.
It's Brized also.
Brized.
Definitely knowing more.
Brized. He's playing on the Legion side.
Also known as DOP Emperor, by the way.
See, I don't have any more aliases. We'll just now call him Team Alias. We'll just go from there. Jar will be playing as our Thunderbringer. We have Milorn, and he likes to have a bit of a snooze on the end. He's playing as our Vindicator. Chipu, Tagosu, and our big man, who we weren't really expecting to be so good as he was. It is Purify Fire. He is playing as our Hammerstorm for the Legion side. That
he is. Again, he is the ringer, of course. In case you haven't been tuning in for that or aren't aware of that, of course, Ice came here with only 4 players originally. Unfortunately, Josh, their 5th player, he had some health concerns before the plane left and was not able to go as a result. So they came in here with 4, not knowing what they were going to do. Admins here, again, a great organization. They got on the phone, called around to the local Singapore players. Sure enough, they found Purify Fire, and sure enough, he's actually happens to be one of the best players in the Southeast Asian section. So it really worked out perfect for Ice, and that's just it. They've definitely been riding that wave right there. The other thing, too, again, Bryce, he, too, wasn't technically originally on the normal roster. 4 hours before the plane left, he got a call, hey, you want to compete in the tournament in Singapore, a free trip and everything, and chance at $10,000? What the hell not?
I'm not doing anything. I was going
to go to the store today, but, I guess I can hold that off. Thanksgiving, maybe, but, I think he made the right decision here. They are in the finals after all, and now, again, guaranteeing themselves at least 4,000, but going to try to play for the eventual 10,000, of course.
I love it. The blame is actually coming out while all these guys are waiting for the headsets. It appears we've had a couple of sound issues actually coming from these guys, so it's just we've got to go through it. There's a bit of a joke coming through. The Ice have used up 90 minutes of stoppage time. So
they have paused the most. I think that's safe to say.
We can literally play an entire game of football over again.
Yeah. We definitely could.
It's a good thing we don't have stoppage time.
It's really
no, the sacrificial shrine said, no, I still got 90 more minutes to come back from this one. It's for the time you wasted.
Yeah, so, again, we don't know exactly what's going on, but we do have some admins up there making sure it's getting worked out, because there are a lot of people here, as, of course, a lot of people tuning in. In fact, a Honcast record we mentioned earlier, tuning in 4,600 plus at the last point we checked. I'm sure, it's constantly going to be growing, so I do appreciate you guys tuning in, and especially those of you at DreamHack as well. Thanks for tuning in over in Sweden. Wish we could have been there, but unfortunately we can only be in one place at once. I mean, we try to be in more, but it just doesn't happen, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, that doesn't.
All right, ready? Okay, looks like there we go. Go,
it's a shame because Sandwraith actually currently has her dagger straight into the middle of that well. It's absolutely fantastic just watching that animation. It is over though, and we are resumed. Woo! We're now live.